So to give you some visual idea of how this chain works, I'm going to draw some charts for you. Let's say there is a harmful pathogen entering into your body. Once it is identified as something dangerous, your helper T cell is going to turn on the immune system. Okay, so the helper T cells are going to turn on the immune system, and then what they do is they're going to multiply and produce proteins to activate the B cells and the killer T cells. After they're activated, killer T and B cells are going to have different roles. Killer Ts are going to go around and search for a certain mark, and B cells are going to go around and actually produce antibodies, kind of like stickers, to put it on different pathogens. So what they do is they go and put this little sticker or the antibodies on the pathogen, and once the killer T sees that, he's going to go ahead and see this marker and then go ahead and destroy the certain pathogens that they recognize. Now we are going to look into types of immunity. We have 3 different types that we're going to cover in this lesson. First one is going to be innate immunity. It's going to be the first and second lines of defense. For the first and second line of defense, or the innate immunity, you really don't have any specific response to a particular pathogen. Whatever it enters into your body, they're going to say, hey, this is foreign and I'm going to fight you off. So oftentimes, this type of immunity will activate as soon as a body is infected. So for example, if you have something in your eyes are going to automatically start tearing up. If you have something that goes in through your nose, you may sneeze right away. So it's going to happen fairly quickly and right away. The good thing about innate immunity is that it's really helpful when a single bacterium or bacteria can multiply into millions of bacteria in a very short period of time. If they don't react right away, you're giving them enough time to multiply and invade your body, and we don't want that to happen. So because some bacteria can multiply quickly within a minute or two, or maybe within hours, you want your innate immunity to kick in and help you out in taking care of these bacteria. Now we also have adaptive immunity, which is going to be mainly the third line of defense. The third line of defense, we just talked about it, their response is tailored to specific invaders. So the biggest difference between the innate immunity and adaptive immunity is that for innate immunity is not specific. For adaptive immunity, it is very specific to invaders. So not everything that enters into your body and that when passed through your innate immunity will have adaptive immunity to respond, because you may have not had any experience with that pathogen. It's going to take a longer period of time to react to a new invading pathogen because your body will have to identify those first. Especially for adaptive immunity, it may take from several days to sometimes weeks for those pathogens to be identified. Okay, so for adaptive immunity, I found some typo on my one, so I just changed it. They're going to remember pathogens once they've encountered a certain one. So if they don't know what it was before, they're not going to be able to respond it quick enough. Now we're going to look into passive immunity, which is the last one of the types of immunity, and it's going to work with specific type of antigen. Now we previously talked about how antigen is like a marker or a sticker to identify certain type of pathogen, if they're good or bad, and they're produced by B cells. Now, some of us may not be able to identify some of the illnesses because they're just not common. But once you get it, it can be very deadly. So, oftentimes, if it's acquired passively, you may have these certain antigens from your mom if you're a baby. Sometimes special types of vaccines are needed, for example, rabies. You may not acquire antigens for rabies naturally because you don't really expect to have those rabies virus enter into your body. And oftentimes, when you're creating this type of vaccines, you're going to use two different types of medication together. One will be a short term and immediately effective vaccine, and then the other one is going to be for a longer period for protection. So it's important to have your vaccines because it's not for you to actually get those certain illnesses, but it's to prevent you from having those illnesses and help your T cells to identify those pathogens right away and respond quicker. Now, for these type of immunity, because you don't generate these antigens from your body directly, they may last from several months to years before the body says, you know what, we don't really need this because out of these time we never encountered any of these pathogens, so we're just going to get rid of it. Immune system is very important for our health because they really keep our body away from harmful pathogens. Now, we also have situations that our immune system may work against us. So let's take a look at those cases. First, autoimmune disease is a condition when your immune system targets the person's cells, tissues, or organs by mistake. In this case, the immune system can't tell the difference between the pathogens and what you already have in your body as your cells or tissues or organs, so they start attacking them. Not only the things that I mentioned above, you may have your immune system attack your endocrine glands, which means different glands produce hormones, red blood cells, blood vessels, and even joints, muscles, or skin. Some of the most common diseases are multiple sclerosis, or called MS, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and also type 1 diabetes. Multiple sclerosis, or MS, happens when your brain or spinal cords are attacked. So as a result of it, you may have loss of muscle control, vision, balance, or feeling. So it's pretty severe, and it's all caused by your own immune system. You may have heard of arthritis before. Now, this is a specific kind of arthritis, and because they are attacking joints, you're going to have severe pain even to move your fingers or to walk, and a lot of times you don't have clear medication other than to have painkillers or reducing immune system responses. So when we look into the treatment, medicines are prescribed oftentimes to reduce the body's immune response. So they're purposely lowering your immune response. Because your immune system is so strong and it's keep attacking your body parts, they say, I need to lower your activity level so it's not as hostile to your own organs. However, the downside of it is that because your immune system is purposely reduced by medication, you may have a harder time fighting other infections and diseases that an ordinary person may overcome quickly. Allergies are another example of problems with the immune system. So what is an allergy? It's basically an immune system response to a foreign substance that an average person would not be affected by. So we already have some students in our class with some allergies, but some of the examples could be pollen, different types of food allergies, such as shellfish, nuts, etc. You can also be allergic to animal hair. For example, if you're allergic to cats or dogs, you may actually be allergic to their hair, not their presence. You can also have allergic reaction to dust or mold. You may be allergic to certain chemicals or insect venom, or even certain types of medication. All these different things that cause allergies are called allergen. Allergen is basically a substance that triggers an allergic reaction. So for a person who is with food allergies or dust allergies, those specific food or dust can be their allergen, which triggers their allergic reaction. Now, why do we have these reactions when we have those allergens? So what happens is that when the immune system detects an allergen, it forms antibodies. We have talked about antibodies like different markers. So these are like stickers that identifies certain pathogens or allergens as foreign. So the body creates the antibodies, and what they do is they release this chemical called histamines. And when they create these histamines, they cause reactions such as redness, swollen tissues, and itchy bumps. A lot of the people with seasonal allergies, whenever you go outside and you have pollen outside, you're going to start sneezing, your eyes are going to get watery and wet, you're going to have itchy nose and throat. So these are all reactions of this chemical called histamine. So when you have these reactions, what you usually do is you'll have to take antihistamine medication, which cancel out these histamines so that you won't have these reactions on your allergens. For the last part of the notes, this is going to be the questions. I want you to go ahead and answer number 1 and 2 on page 225. You can make a Venn diagram, you can make a chart, or you can just explain how they are different for number 1. And then for number 2, think about it. Our bodies have immune system, so why do we need physical and chemical barriers to pathogens? We can just have everything taken care of by immune system, or do we need those physical and chemical barriers? So think about those, answer these 2 questions. Also, make sure you try to answer questions from the objective questions, especially number 3. Knowing different types of immunity might be very important. And hopefully this lesson was informative and helps you understand how our body fight against different diseases that we may encounter every day.